Welcome to Uncaged Zoo Tours. If you are new to the channel and love animals, I recommend and appreciate hitting the like and subscribe buttons and the bell icon to join me on my tours and to learn more about your favorite animals. Is this thing on? Perfect! My dear friends, I am Jacob Fivash, and we have reached 20 facilities. To celebrate the occasion, we are back in Florida. This time, we are heading to Zoo Tampa at Lowry Park. It looks very tropical! It sure is. But it's also divided into 5 sections. Asia has a lot of rare animals like the lowland anoa, babirusa, and sun bear. There is the Wallaroo Station with its koalas and yellow-footed rock wallabies. Primate World has a lot of cool and fun primates. And Africa has some fan-favorite animals like elephants, rhinos, and giraffes, along with the rare shoebill stork. But today, we're heading to the Florida Wildlife Center. Opened in 1990, the Florida Wildlife Center showcases many of Florida's icons, along with a lot of rescued animals. It's like Texas Wild, but it focuses more on Florida's native wildlife. In addition to learning about some of the rescued animal stories, we'll learn about Zoo Tampa's upcoming master plan. I got my sunglasses on, so let's go! The Florida Wildlife Center is located to the left of the Indian rhinos of Asia, and the first animal you might see is a false gharial, which is also known as a tomistoma. Oh, I understand, buddy. I know you're sunbathing. Let's move on before he gives us the death stare. Gharials are native to Southeast Asia, but the rest of the animals are or were native to Florida. Some of them are even invasive species. The next exhibit once contained Florida key deer, but is now home to this pack of redwolves. I mentioned in my streamside and prairie at the North Carolina Zoo Tour that red wolves almost became extinct. Like the North Carolina Zoo, Zoo Tampa has also played its part in red wolf conservation. They have around 7 red wolves, and a litter of pups was born in 2018. Plus, they have another exhibit that is part of the newer Florida Wilds area. Following that is a large pool that contains some rescued brown pelicans. In the wild, brown pelicans will hunt for fish during the day due to the good lighting source, but they can also hunt after the under construction bald eagle exhibit is our next stop, Manatee Mangroove, which opened as the second phase of the Florida Wildlife Center in 1991. It has way more than just manatees. It also has a lot of reptiles, fish, and amphibians. There's the eastern coral snake, southern copperhead, dusky pygmy rattlesnake, Florida cottonmouth, a sassy eastern diamondback rattlesnake, eastern indigo snake, southern toad, snake-bot turtle, spotted turtle, clownfish, gars, and a bunch of others.
That's a lot of animals. Which one are you going to give the spotlight to?
The hard-headed sea catfish. I thought catfish lived in fresh water. Well, there are a few species of catfish that live in salt water. Like their freshwater cousins, hard-headed sea catfish have whisker-like appendages called barbels that act like taste buds. They can have up to 4 pairs of whiskers, and they have very smooth skin covered in mucus. Some species of catfish can even breathe through their skin. Catfish can also detect sound frequency that is too high for humans to hear. Like other fish, they don't have ears, but they still have internal ear bones called otoliths. Another cool fish I'll give the spotlight to is the gag grouper. Known for their big mouths, groupers can open their mouths to inhale small prey into their mouths. Some species can even change color to camouflage themselves, while others have different patterns instead. Groupers are one of the only animals that can eat a lionfish, also known as a turkey fish because their spines look like a turkey spreading its feathers. Lionfish, like these red lionfish, don't have many predators because of their venomous spines. It can be really painful. But if you are stung by a lionfish, remove any jewelry you are wearing and pull any venomous spines. It can be treated by putting the infected area in hot water to ease the pain. You can also take medicine, apply antibiotic cream, and put bandages on the wound to help it heal. But don't worry, lionfish stings are rarely fatal, and the pain will last for 8 hours to a month, depending on how severe the sting is. On the lighter side, there are 12 species of lionfish, and they use those spines for defense against predators. If you want to learn more about lionfish, please refer to my tropical diver at the Georgia Aquarium tour. Other fish you might see in this gallery are striped birdfish and line seahorses. Also, there's a group of upside-down jellyfish, also known as a smack. Jellyfish aren't fish. They're a type of invertebrate called cnidarians. Unlike most jellyfish, upside-down jellyfish spend their lives resting upside down. They expose the algae growing on their bodies to the sun, so the jellyfish can photosynthesize, which is a process that plants use to create energy and oxygen. I don't want this tour to turn into a plant-focused show. I'm not a plant expert, but our next animal is Sandwich the Cuban iguana. Believe it or not, this iguana lived in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba before he slipped onto a boat bound for Florida. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission gave Sandwich to Zoo Tampa because he was unable to return home or live on his own in Florida. Remember those pelicans I talked about earlier? Yes. They also live with giant Amazon river turtles, fly river turtles, and Florida manatees. Here's an interesting fact about manatees. Despite their looks, manatees don't have blubber like seals, so when the temperatures drop, they gather around near warm springs and power plants. As I said in my Seas with Nemo and Friends at Epcot tour, manatees are threatened by cold stress, boat strikes, red tide, and getting accidentally caught in nets. But like Disney, Zoo Tampa has helped care for sick, orphaned, and injured manatees. The park has cared for over 500 of these peaceful mammals, and most of them were returned to the wild once they got better. However, some of these patients have a permanent home here, like Ko. Ko was rescued in 2015 as he suffered from broken ribs following a boat collision. His lung was permanently damaged, and he couldn't control his ability to float. Ko spends most of his time at the bottom of the pool, but he still goes to the surface for air or food. Due to his injuries, he can't be released back into the wild. According to the zoo's upcoming master plan, they will renovate the mangrove into Manatee Rescue, where the guests will learn about how the team works together to save manatees. And it's expected to open in January 2026. If you want to learn more about manatees, go to Zoo Tampa's website and sign up for the Manatee Critical Care Center behind the scenes tour. The next animal you might see is the North American river otter. They're really playful and cute at any zoo. These otters can see underwater thanks to a third eyelid that acts like a pair of goggles. It can get really blurry underwater. As a part of the master plan, the otters will be getting a newly renovated home. I love otters, but another animal that I think of when it comes to Florida is the American alligator. Alligators are considered a keystone species, or species that others depend on. They can dig a cave in a waterway and leave a portion of it above water. These tunnels can be up to 65 feet long and provide protection from the heat and cold for them and other species, like fish, frogs, and turtles. There are also a lot of birds in this area, like black-bellied whistling ducks, royal terns, black-necked stilts, roseate spoonbills, great horned owls, and a few others. These birds live right across the next section, Florida Wilds, which opened in March 2022. It features a newly renovated space for these Florida panthers. Depending on who you ask, the Florida panther is related to the cougar, but like their cousins out west, they are threatened by habitat loss and hunting. But they also must deal with vehicle collisions and mercury that gets stuck in their stomachs. As of 2023, there are around 200 left in the wild, earning them a spot on the endangered species list. Like the manatees, Zoo Tampa has rescued a couple of these cats to ensure their future. First is Walter, who has a slight limp after his foot was caught in a trap. After he was freed, Walter was brought to Zoo Tampa, where he received life-saving treatment from the staff. Nowadays, you might see him perched in a tree, looking at his neighbors. Then there's Mickey. He was getting too close to humans and began preying on domestic animals. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission brought Mickey to Zoo Tampa in 2016, where he slowly investigates the enrichment the keepers give him, but he gets really excited about his favorite food, fish. Finally is Lucy, who was found on August 3, 2007 with a head laceration, or had a serious cut in her head. She was suffering from severe dehydration. Thankfully, Zoo Tampa's vet team hand-raised her, and she moved right into the Florida Wildlife Center. These panthers are neighbors with American black bears. Black bears will go into a torpor state of hibernation in the winter depending on how much food there is. If there's little to no food nearby, the bears may raid campsites or suburbs to find food, and are deemed nuisances. That's what happened to Sammy. He kept raiding campsites in Missouri and was brought to Zoo Tampa in 2003, where you might find him scratching his back on trees. There's also Newberry, who was found as an orphan cub near the Lower Suwannee National Wildlife Reserve in April 2012. Newberry was transferred to another wildlife park, where she was raised in management care for the next 7 months before being released back into the wild. 1 week later, Newberry was found approaching people for food and was sent to Zoo Tampa, where she shows off her flexibility. Finally is Campbell, who is also an orphan cub. Campbell was raised by humans for several days before being transferred to the Montana Wild Facility and was deemed unreleasable. She was transferred to Zoo Tampa, but now lives a happy life and loves eating a protein-based diet. If you want to learn more about the Florida panthers and black bears, don't forget to stop by their exhibits at 11:30 a.m. for the Florida Wildlife Chat. Across from the panthers are a noisy and pink flock of American flamingos. These birds have a really interesting feeding process called filter feeding. First, they use their feet to stir up mud and hold their head upside down so they can eat some tiny shrimp. A flamingo's beak is rigid, as it helps the bird filter out water and mud so it doesn't swallow it. Flamingos may be stinky, but the next animal is the first one I think of when it comes to stinky. But I'm pretty sure this gopher tortoise doesn't mind living with these striped skunks. Striped skunks are known for their special defense. When a predator is nearby, they will stomp their feet, arch their back, and raise their tail to say, "If you come any closer, I will spray you." "What do you mean?" Well, if that defense I just said doesn't work, they will spray a stinky odor from a gland under their tail. The stink is made from sulfur, the same element found in raw eggs, and it can last for 2 to 3 weeks. If you get sprayed, take a bath or shower immediately. Wash your body with dish detergent or deodorant soap. You can wash your hair with a shampoo made for oily hair. Another way you can get rid of that stinky odor is by soaking yourself in baking soda mixed with hot water for 20 minutes. Tomato soup may mask the stinky odor, but it doesn't get rid of it. Skunks sometimes live under people's homes because there's food nearby, it's warmer during the colder months, and it also serves as denning for their kits. If you don't like to have skunks under your porch, here are some things you can do to avoid getting sprayed. Don't leave food out and secure your trash bins. Add a light source where their den is located, and call a wildlife rehabilitator to relocate the skunk family. Other animals you might see in this area are rescued eastern screech owls and barred owls. I guess they need some privacy, so let's move on. We just have one more animal, the rest of the zoo's red wolves. I have never seen red wolves this active before, but these wolves have similar behavior to their great wolf cousins. They have 3 different ways to find prey. Wolves have a great sense of smell, which is 100 times better than ours. They also have very sensitive hearing, as they can probably hear me talking about them right now. Wolves are sometimes active at night, which allows them to be more successful in hunts. Wolves are also great swimmers, as they can cross a stream when they need to. In the pack, wolves also communicate through body language. For example, if a wolf's tail is tucked between its legs, it means that they know who's in charge. An angry wolf may bare their teeth and raise their ears, and a scared wolf may flatten their ears against their head. But these 3 wolves are really playful, so I guess they're wagging their tails. In another tour, I'll talk about how wolf packs have their own social structures and rules. And that wraps up our first tour at Zoo Tampa. So now it's time to vote. Which Zoo Tampa exhibit would you like to see next? First, we can go for a back-to-back 2-parter of Africa, where we'll go behind the scenes and meet one of their elephants. We'll also meet the shoebill stork, a very rare bird in zoos, rhinos, painted dogs, tortoises, a pygmy hippo, and a playful porcupine. We'll also take a ride on the zoo safari truck. There's also the Wallaroo Station, where we'll meet a very active koala, goats, one of the few yellow-footed rock wallabies in America, and a llama. Finally is a 2-in-1 of the aviary and Asia, where we'll go behind the scenes and feed an Indian rhino. We'll also meet a bunch of birds, including lorikeets. We'll also meet gharials, a sun bear, binturongs, tigers, and our first lowland Noah. Let's see what today's question is. What zoos are at the top of your bucket list? As always, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for watching.